in 2026, to be completely paper and not digitalized, it's like living in the past. Judges, research-wise, we need to upgrade ourselves with the research tools available, especially AI and the internet. The proponents of the bill talk about paternity fraud. When you mention fraud, then you've gone into criminality. And the tenets of criminal law, criminal justice are so rudimental, they are so strict that if you're not careful, you might be thinking that infidelity is a crime. But if infidelity was a crime, many people would be in jail.
We are privileged to be in the office of a high court judge, for us to have discussions around law, her life, and for her to inspire us as law students. Straight away, we would go to her for her to introduce herself to us. Her ladyship,
Yes.
thank you so much for this opportunity to be in the office.
Thank you too for having me.
Oh,
Good afternoon, good morning, wherever your viewers are. It's a pleasure to join you. I am Her Ladyship Justice Sednam Awokwadam. I am a Justice of the High Courts, Accra,
what?
and I sit at Accra,
Wow.
one of the High Courts in Accra.
Wow.
Yes.
Thank you so much once again. We want to start on a not so positive note. There's a publicly, information shared publicly where at the Cape Coast dilapidated building, there was an accident. Can you really tell us what happened on that fateful day?
Yeah, like you said, it's an unpleasant, very unpleasant memory. But we thank God for memories, right? It helps us prepare for the future. It advises us. And that's why I've been an advocate for a new building for the Cape Coast Court Complex. Publicly on my social handles, I've mentioned it. I'll always support the call for a new court complex for Cape Coast. So I went to work on 25th November. It was a Monday. I had been posted there to report. So that was my first day.
Wow.
I reported there Monday, 25th November 2019. And whilst going around to familiarize myself and then going down to go to other places, one of the steps was worn out, so the metal bars in the steps held onto my half-inch block shoe, and my body came tumbling down. So my leg was stationary, but my body was still in motion. I came tumbling all the way down from the top, and I hit the bottom. And it's a miracle I didn't die, because for that kind of fall, to leave you with just the broken bones in the right leg, it was a miracle, right?
Yeah.
So I had fractures, internal fractures, bleeding into the leg. So I have titanium implants now. I had to undergo surgeries, but that affected my life because my mobility, I have a disability in the right leg now because of the titanium implants, the way the breakage was and where the implants are. So I cannot move that leg as well as the other one. So movement is impeded, and once mobility is impeded, it comes with health consequences. Any doctor will tell you. So type 2 diabetes developed, and we had to take a permanent decision to sort of kill two birds with one stone, get me to be able to use the titanium leg for as long as God gives me life, and also to reverse or put the diabetes, type 2 diabetes, in remission. So I had a permanent surgical procedure in Istanbul that did that. So that's why after that surgery, I'm able to walk without the walking aid now. Even though the titanium implants are still there, I'm now able to use it better. And so I would say that as much as possible, we have to get a new court complex for Cape Coast, because I survived it, but you never know. What if something worse happens to all my colleagues who work there, judicial service staff, litigants, lawyers, everybody who uses the facility. Currently, at the launch of our judicial service 150th anniversary, they launched an appeal to, so everybody must support and help. Tema and Cape Coast, there's an appeal going on by the Judicial Service. The president of the GBA is leading that charge to get funding to. Everybody must support.
Wow.
Yeah, that's what happened.
Wow.
Yeah.
And your procedure has a transformative impact.
Yeah, it's had a transformative impact because which procedure? The medical procedure.
Yeah, the medical
Oh
procedure.
yes, obviously it has. It has. It's medicine is God's own way of reminding us that He's still in the creation process, helping advance medical treatment. So yeah, it helped.
Wow. And then you always have this vibe of inspiration, and that takes us to, you have such an active social media presence where you are always encouraging us.
Yeah.
What is social media to you?
Social media means different things to many different people. But for me, on Facebook and on LinkedIn, apart from professional things that I post, inspirational, because sometimes I think that if you've been through the darkest times, you are in the best position to shed light onto other people's paths. Knowing how dark my path has been, I mean, learning to walk all over again, using a wheelchair, getting sick, near point of death, and all that, it can't be for nothing. It can't just be for nothing. Going through law school, struggling with promotion and all those things, it can't just be for nothing. The sun does not shine for itself. The rain does not fall for itself. You must be going through life, the difficulties, because someone else will need the encouragement. So if I hide some of the sources of strength, some of the encouragement, somebody may be going through something even worse, and just a word from you can encourage that person to hold on tight, give it your best shot, and they may end up even in a better position than you. So that's why I do that. So for me, social media is professional. My articles, when they are posted, I put them out there. And then inspirational, and anything else that tickles my fancy sometimes, but nothing extra, nothing extra.
Wow.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for being inspirational.
Oh.
Personally, we're having this interview thanks to the wisdom you shared with us. You should remember it was just you making the presentation, and I think I was about that fear to push me on, but thanks for the inspiration to put it.
You're welcome. I'm glad. I'm glad to hear that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Impact,
Yes.
Wow.
Wow. And then you are technologically savvy. Would you say there are recent calls for a transition to total paperless judicial help, justice delivery? What's your view on that?
Absolutely. The current Chief Justice, even the previous Chief Justices have mentioned how the need for the judicial service to move from the hard paperwork to digital platforms is a pressing need, because now everything is digital. And if we don't, like for example, what happened in Sunyang, the 2 district courts that got burned, a lot of evidence, a lot of dockets, so much has been lost because of the fire. Of course, IT systems are also prone to software viruses and attacks. Yeah, cyber warfare is a real thing. But in 2026, to be completely paper and not digitalized, it's like living in the past. So yes, there's been a call for it. The current Chief Justice, His Lordship Justice Paul Bafuboni, has made a clarion call for it, and there have been steps. Currently, there's a collaboration with Statistical Service for data collection and data analysis to help the judicial service do better with our data. And of course, the infrastructure would have to be improved. Software would have to be improved. Software solutions have to come on board. And then the human resource. We can't pour new wine into old wineskin and expect it to hold. So with the human resource, I wouldn't call myself a tech-savvy person. I'm learning. So we need to upgrade the human resource as well. Research-wise, research-wise, we need to upgrade ourselves with the research tools available, especially AI and the internet, you see, and it will advance justice delivery. It has. I mean, the empirical evidence is there. If you look at other jurisdictions, then we are learning the best practices internationally. If you look at other jurisdictions, IT use, digital use in justice delivery, it makes work easier for judges, court staff, and court users, lawyers alike. We are doing what we can, but we need to accelerate it because everything is moving so fast. If we're not careful, we'll be left behind. I'm just glad. I'm just excited that, administration is already on board and trying to put the pieces together quickly to get us onto that page. It's a good call, and we must all support it.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then you were published today in the dailies.
I was.
A controversial topic indeed.
Oh.
And in a world where infidelity in marriage is becoming a great concern, you are against the state's interest in policing paternity. And
Paternity test.
Paternity test. And I'll say that we say that's unfair, but you make the point that we are sacrificing procedural fairness.
Fairness.
Yes.
So the crux of that article is actually that we have in place laws for determining paternity of children. If you look at the Children's Act, sections 40 to 42, it's clearly stated there. The Court Act, section 47, 1F at 459, clearly gives courts the power to make that order. So at this point, if you're in a relationship with someone and a woman says, I'm pregnant for you, this baby is your baby, and you have your doubts, there is no legal impediment in your way to getting a paternity test. In fact, the courts are open. The law is there. Enforce your rights. Go and apply to the court for a DNA test. The court will invite the woman, make orders for the child and the registrar of the court. Everything will be done under controlled measures. So Ghanaian law has put in place the right channel to address this problem, if it is a problem that is slowly creeping up, right? But the proponents of the bill talk about paternity fraud. When you mention fraud, then you've gone into criminality. And the tenets of criminal law, criminal justice are so rudimental, they are so strict that if you're not careful, you might be thinking that infidelity is a crime. But if infidelity was a crime, many people would be in jail. Trust me. If infidelity, adultery, or cheating, not being exclusive in a relationship was a crime, many people would be behind bars. So we must not confuse the two. If you want to talk about fraud, we even have criminal law on defrauding by false pretense. It's a charge. If someone makes a false statement to you, and based on that false representation, you part ways with something, you can go and report the person for defrauding you by false pretense. So if a woman tells you that this baby boy is your son, start looking after the baby, and then you take care of the baby from daycare to secondary school, university, only for you to do a test after university and say that, and realize that the child was not your child. You parted ways with 10 million Ghana cedis if you compute everything together. What stops you, honestly? What stops you from proceeding to a police station and complaining that she has defrauded you by false pretense? She knew that the child was not yours. She knew. In fact, she knows who, and you have the evidence. I'm not saying proving this will be easy, but at least we have a criminal justice avenue for addressing that problem. And then we have the civil avenue where paternity testing is well guaranteed under our Children's Act and our Court Act. So really, what is the need for this proposed bill? What is it? And that was my concern. And if you're not careful, when you read the paper, looking at and it's just an editorial. I'll do an academic paper on it. I'll expand it into an academic paper, but this is just an editorial. When you look at it, you will see that I teased out some of the challenges that we would face. Infrastructure-wise, how many of our CHIP compounds, polyclinics, hospitals have the facility to do this DNA testing, collection of samples, handling of samples? So for example, how many babies are born in a polyclinic in a day? And if we take samples from these babies and their purported fathers, the handling of these samples, are we guaranteeing that there will not be a mix-up? And if there was a mix-up, and then and we are not testing the mothers. The proponents of the proposed bill are not saying that let's test both mother and father. So we've tested only this purported father, and there were many, so there's a mishap, and the report comes to that clinic. The woman is still postpartum in the hospital. She's not been discharged. She just gave birth after carrying a child for between 36 weeks to 40 weeks. That itself is hell. And then you come with a report that says that the child is not for him. In fact, everybody in that hospital, all the workers there will get to know, because when a man is given this news, he's going to go ballistic. He's just going to lose it. And you don't even know. He might faint. Anything could happen, and then it's going to create a whole scene. And we are dealing with a postpartum mother, an innocent baby. No matter how that baby was conceived, that child is still innocent at that time. And this is the scenario we want to be dealing with at that time during postpartum. Well, I do not think that with respect to the health of mothers and babies, that is the right time. And also, another challenge I teased out was financing. Who's going to pay for this? DNA testing currently in this country costs nothing less than 3,000 Ghana cedis.
Wow.
DNA paternity testing costs nothing less than 3,000 Ghana cedis. I sat in the family tribunal for 4 years. I sat in the circuit court for 4 years or 5 years. And when we order, it costs a lot. Who is going to pay? The state? Or the family, the fresh family that is struggling to pay their medical bills? Or it will be the man? What if he turns out not to be the father, or it's the woman who is postpartum recovering from childbirth? Who is going to pay for the test that cost, as of 2026, a little over 3,000 Ghana cedis? Who's going to pay for it? Another challenge too was that the Evidence Act says that a child born within a marriage belongs to the marriage. That is a rebuttable presumption. With respect to this rebuttable presumption, it means that Ghana is so wise that it doesn't want any child to be legally fatherless. So until somebody sees that, oh no, maybe this child is not mine, then they go and activate the Children's Act or Court Act jurisdiction to have a paternity test. No child should be legally fatherless. It goes to inheritance. It goes to identity. We don't want children leaving neonatal care with identity crisis. You understand? Because the system may be prone to errors. And frankly speaking, Ghana has more severe medical needs than supporting couples who don't trust each other to find out whether this person is the father. If genuinely, if a man has concerns about the paternity of his child, there's nothing legally stopping him from approaching the court and ordering or asking for the court to order for a paternity test. There's no legal barricade. And then that way, somebody will foot the bill, and it will interfere with innocent couples who trust each other. So my husband and I, let's assume we trust each other. He trusts me. I've not cheated on him, and I'm pregnant. We go to give birth, but the laws of Ghana say mandatory paternity testing at the hospital. My husband says, me, I don't have money for that testing, and I trust my wife, but the law says mandatory. And you're going to put us through. Then our test results are swapped with somebody else's by mistake, or even the baby itself was swapped. So if you had done a maternity test for me, I wouldn't even be the mother of the baby. And in some of my practice, I have seen that we did a test. We did tests where both mother and father were not parents, biological parents of those babies. Anything can happen. And to place all that on the altar of we want to stop mothers from defrauding us, please, there's sufficient law for that. There's no need to put anybody through stress. Innocent couples who trust themselves, people who cannot afford basic health care, or the state, which has more needs than footing the bill of couples who have infidelity issues. No, those should be private matters. Moreover, finally on that, internationally, nobody does it. No country does it. Internationally, when a person feels they are not the father of they approach a court for an order. That's what we are supposed to do. It breaches a lot of international human rights laws. It may. But I do not believe that at this point in time, that's what we need. We need more important things, like hospital beds. We need hospital beds. We need more beds. We need more hospitals. We need medication. We need maternal and neonatal mother care unit. We need so much more than making provision and laws for a situation that already has been provided for. The superfluousness of it is what beats my mind, because there's law for it. What are we fussing about? There's law for it. Anybody who feels a child is not theirs, please, they should approach a court and ask for a DNA paternity test. The state, what you need courage to do, the state will not provide you with, should not. The state should not provide you with that courage. Have courage to face your partner and say, that child is not mine, let's go to court. You understand? It's sometimes I feel like men should be able to ask for that. Ask for it. But making it mandatory, for who to pay for? And for who, innocent people to be going through stress? Because some women, if you say mandatory, they'll say, okay, then the marriage has come to an end. And which is not right. Family life is important. We must safeguard our family units. Anytime a dispute arises as to paternity, the law is there and we must use the law to do it. The law exists already. Unless the proponents of this proposed bill do not know of the existence of the law. And I'm tempted to think they don't. I'm honestly tempted, because if you're a lawyer and you've been to family courts, you know that the legal redress is available. So I honestly, it's only lay people who are lay in law, who can be justified for thinking that there's no law to help this situation. But for learned people, or at least people who can go and buy Children's Act and read, or Court Act and read, you should not be saying things like there's no law to protect fathers or men from being different. There is criminal law, and then there's civil law to do that. There's no need passing more superfluous laws. We need to streamline our legal regimes to do what is most important to protect society.
Wow. Your write-up was so convincing, as you explained. So I want to find out, how are you able to develop these excellent writing skills?
Oh, I've always written. I used to write poems for myself when I was younger, but subsequently when I started doing my LLM, so I would pen down things on my laptop, right? But they are just musings of Sedi. But when I started doing my LLM at GIMPA, it wasn't sitting exams. It was always reaction papers. And the more I wrote reaction papers for my lecturers, the more I discovered that, I should really, put more thought into my writings and go back to the ones that are on my laptop and develop them. And that's how I started, writing ferociously. And there's so much to write on. I tell my law students all the time, my mentees, and I tell them all the time, there's so much to write on. There are gray areas in laws. There are lacunas. There are gaps. And society has not finished evolving. And an evolving society constantly needs evolving laws, right? So if you notice a gap, you are the learned person, you are the law student, you are the lawyer, you are the judge, you are the practitioners of the law. You must highlight these gaps so that the policymakers can see clearly and develop the law to fit society. A law that is divorced from, or a society that is divorced from its laws, it's not the best situation. It means that the people are going this way and the law is going that way, and that doesn't make for a well-rounded society.
Wow.
That's why I write.
Wow. And you mentioned your LLM at GIMPA.
Yes.
It was an impressive one. You came up with a GPA of 3.98.
Yes. So.
You picked up awards. At KUST, you picked up awards.
KUST, yeah.
Yes.
KUST, no. KUST, I didn't pick up an award. It was Ghana School of Law of Evidence, Makola.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Law of Evidence. I picked up an award in the Law of Evidence.
How are you able to do that excellently? Excel academically?
Well, academic excellence has to do with the amount of effort you put into it, right? Some people think, it's just maybe this person is a natural break it can't be only about being a natural break. I quite remember when I was graduating from JSS, in our time it was JSS, right? We were doing 12 subjects. And out of the 12 subjects in my school, I took 10 awards. And yes, and then Makola. And so maybe naturally it's there, but you have to put in the effort. So time management, studies, you always have to put in the effort in order to develop what you naturally, even if you naturally have it, you have to put in a lot to do it. And I grew up with a mother who was a teacher. My mother was a teacher, and she's always been a teacher, even until her retirement, when she retired as a director for Ghana Education Service. She doesn't have friends. She wasn't an outing kind of person. It's either she's gone to teach or she's at home with us. So if you are growing up with a mother who is always reading, if you want to rest with her, or you want to be with her, she will hand you a book, right? She'll say, oh, read this. And so, I mean, with time, it became a part of me to just keep wanting to know more, being curious about everything is what drives me. Being curious. Yeah, my mother would tell you, I'm one of the most curious people. Yeah, being curious about everything. Recently, we had a 2-day training with Ghana Maritime Authority, and I just got so curious that I applied to read maritime law for no reason, out of sheer curiosity, because it means that I don't know anything about that. And I'm a lawyer, I'm a judge. I'm going to be practicing all those things. If you don't know something, you must seek knowledge. The Bible says what? Seek and you shall find.
Wow. And so you're going back to school this year?
Hopefully.
Wow.
Hopefully I should go back. If they give me admission, that is. I should go back. And then there are other areas of law that I wouldn't mind at all knowing, because knowledge is power.
Wow. And you are passionate about emerging law students.
Yeah.
Why that passion?
Any generation who does not pay attention to the generations behind it will lose out. That's how species go into extinction. If you read science, and I was a science student before I switched into law. Yeah, you go into extinction if you don't take care of survival. And one of the means to survive legally is to take care of the generations behind us, who are the law students. So I am so glad that the trend is catching on, where senior lawyers, judges are all chipping in to mentor young students, law students. Internship programs are going on. Ghana School of Law does internship programs. Other organizations like the Federation of African Law Students, where I'm a patron for the Ghana Directorate, we're doing mentorship programs. We're just reaching out because, we are walking the path ahead. The difficulties, the hurdles that we faced and are still facing, we can shed some light on the path for those behind us to say, hey, step here, hey, step there. If we do that, it means that the generation that will take over from us will be in a better position to create a better world for our children, our grandchildren. You think you are doing it for them, but in the long run, it circles back to you. If my child has a civil legal problem, commercial problem, and goes to engage a lawyer I trained many years ago, isn't that great? It comes back to us. So I'm really glad that many lawyers are on board, judges are on board, and it's catching on so well. Mentorship is good. Those of us who are privileged to be ahead must always shed light on the path for those behind us. It's the right thing to do if the species has to survive.
Very important.
Yeah.
And you're in the 7th month being a judge of the High Court.
Yes, please.
How would you describe the experience?
Overwhelming.
Wow.
It's overwhelming, the work. When you've been a judge for some time in the lower court and you think, oh, I got this, you ain't got it. You have to learn. You have to learn every day. You have to continuously, it's a whole different ball game. Superior Court is different. The kind of applications you're seeing, the kind of suit you are seeing, it calls on you to rise up to the occasion. And if you don't, it will show. So it's created a lot more overwhelming work for me, especially for someone who is curious about so many things. As soon as they're talking about it, I'm flipping through my book. I want to know what they're talking about. So more work, but it's still as exciting as ever.
Wow.
Yeah.
Can have you started envisioning you being the Chief Justice in Ghana?
No, that's too limited.
Wow.
That's too limited a future to envisage for oneself, because that's just one post.
Damn.
It's just one post, and you can do more than that.
Wow.
As a human being, as a lawyer, as a judge, as a justice of the superior courts, there's a world of things I could be doing to help the judiciary, quite apart from just leading it. You know, being a chief justice, it's the money of this institution. There are justices. You see the 150th anniversary launch, Justice A.J. Frimpong, Supreme Court Justice, His Lordship Justice A.J., he chairs that committee. Look at the amount of work there. So will you say that if he didn't become Chief Justice, he'd had nothing to offer? So looking at myself, the only question I ask myself is, what do I have to contribute to the system before I leave? At the end of the day, when I'm dead and gone, what did I contribute? It's not about becoming Chief Justice. It's not about becoming the leader. It's about brightening the corner where you are. Shine your light wherever you are. And someone somewhere in some darkness will see that light, whether you are a Chief Justice or not, whether you are Judicial Secretary, whether you are a Justice of the Superior Court only, committee chair, wherever you find yourself, judge of the lower courts, judicial service staff, a clerk, interpreter, security man, driver, wherever you find yourself, how are you brightening that corner? To me, that is my personal question. And it has always been. That has been my personal question. That whatever I am doing, what's my impact there? Do I necessarily have to be the leader of that group before I can impact? No way. And I teach my law students this all the time. You don't necessarily have to be a leader to impact other people's lives. Brighten the corner where you are.
Wow. And you're doing that so well. Just within these months, your judgments have gotten the
you've seen some of them.
Yes, please. Wow. So I would want to find out, what are some of the core skill sets someone who has a vision of being on the bench could start developing now as a law student?
Reading ferociously. Yeah, if you don't read, you struggle, because they bring volumes of papers and you have to read. Whether you're reading a book, a law book, researching a case, or reading the processes that have been filed in the case, you are constantly reading. So if you don't like reading, this is not the place for you. Research, if you don't like research, it's not the place for you. So research, reading, and writing. Writing skills. If you are a good writer, your judgments, when people read your judgment, they can literally taste it on their tongue. It's palatable, and it also speaks to the law. It's not just legal jargons being thrown in here and there, but it's nice to read. It stimulates intellectually. So if you're that kind of person, even if you're not, you can always develop. See, there's always hope. You can switch everything around in one day and start developing these skills: research skills, writing skills, reading skills, and analytical skills. Critical analytical skills. Critical thinking is something that these days most of the private schools are teaching, but I think it should be taught in every school. Basic. It is basic critical thinking. When you are a lawyer, you are a judge, critical thinking is one of your best attributes. And I do not see you becoming a judge without that aspect of it. You are weighing two things, whether it's a criminal case or a civil case. You're going to be given two sides of the story. Somebody said that when people bring cases to court, it's not they who are on trial, it's the judge who is on trial, because the judge wasn't there. I wasn't there with you. You and I were not there. I wasn't there with you. You, the plaintiff, you, the defendant, you, the accused, you, the victim. You were doing your own thing somewhere. The court wasn't there. Now they bring you a load of evidence on each side. If your analytical skills are not good, you might miss something that you ought not to miss, or you might take into consideration something you ought not to have taken into consideration. And that's why we have appeal. Appeal is by way of rehearing, reweighing the evidence, right? So analytical skills, research skills, writing skills, reading skills, and your human temperament. You need to develop your temperament. You don't lose your cool easily. And some people say that women judges, we are emotional. I don't think that's a bad thing. Emotions make you human. How you control them is another thing. If you're emotional, it doesn't matter. I am a sensational person. I wear my heart up my sleeve. If I'm upset, you'll see it. If I'm happy, you'll see it. It doesn't mean that that is bad. It only means that when I sit in judgment or when I sit and I'm hearing cases, I have to control it such that it doesn't interfere with the case. But, you know, your temperament is something you have to work on if you want to come onto the bench. You don't go about insulting people in the courtroom just because you are the judge. You shouldn't do that, ever. You don't intimidate people in the courtroom. If you are powerful, your pen will do the talking. Every time you say by court, that's the most powerful thing. So you don't need to banter with lawyers or litigants. You don't need to be abusive. There's no need to be abusive to the litigant lawyers or the judicial service staff. They are people you're working with. And, you know, if you don't control your emotions, you create a toxic work environment. So anyone who wants to become a judge, you need to learn to leave your troubles at home, come home plain, and take everybody for what they offer. Do the best you can to resolve the disputes, and let's go back home in peace.
Wow.
I think that works for me, and I would, these traits, these skill sets, I would encourage. It helps.
Wow.
Yeah.
In a WhatsApp post you wrote, when times get tough, I remind myself of what I am made of, where I have come from, and who the ultimate decider of my fate is. Who is the ultimate decider of your fate?
My maker.
Wow.
My creator. That's the meaning of my name. My Ese. Ese in law is the law. In Ewe, sorry. Ese in Ewe is the law of the universe.
Wow.
The creator, God, Allah. That thing that you can't name, Yahweh. You can't put a name to him or her or it, but we've all identified what it is. Ese dinam.
Yeah.
Delivers me. So my faith in my maker, my creator, is outstanding.
Wow.
It's because I've been through difficult times. I mean, learning to walk again from a wheelchair, rising from heartbreaks that threatened to devastate completely, health scares, near-death experiences. I've been under general anesthesia 5 times.
Wow.
And there are still some to go. So I am not one to say that my maker doesn't have a hand in it. So if I face a difficulty, I remind myself, Eseyane Joma Adinam da tag and ewe for interpretation. My maker who brought me to life will deliver me.
Wow.
Eseyane Joma Adinam Esedinam. That's you've seen me write it a lot, Esedinam. But it's Sedinam, but Esedinam. So that faith, of course, certain difficulties shook my faith. Yeah, because people of God broke my heart. People in clerical, the church, they do things that make you wonder, do they know God? Or are they supposed to be exhibiting the love of God, right? And it can shake your faith. It's scandalous to the faith of the lay faithful, right? And they don't know. Sometimes they don't know, but aren't they just human? So in all that, we forgive and we forget and we look to God alone. As for humans, we are fallible. As fallible as I am, the pastor in the clerical, like you, is also fallible. The priest, the bishop, every human, only God is righteous. So in as much as the church, men of God, women of God may do things that make you question whether God is watching, in the long run, he alone will show you his unconditional love. And I believe that's what I went through. So yes, at one point, my faith was so shaken. Anybody who knows me knows that my faith was so shaken. But his faithfulness abounds, said now.
And so would you say you've completely healed? Are you back to the church?
Oh, back to the church,
Yes.
not as a building,
Okay.
but I'm back with my maker.
Wow.
Yeah.
But you go to the building.
Yes, yes.
Wow.
But it's not about the human beings leading the church
Amazing.
at all anymore. I think that was where my mistake was,
Mm.
thinking that the human beings leading the church are as infallible as God, right? That's a mistake most people make. They are not. So even if you go to the building and you fellowship is good. When you fellowship, it's about God. It should be about your maker. It should be about Allah. If you are going to the mosque, it should be about Allah. Whatever you're worshiping, whoever you're worshiping as your maker, it should be about him or her or it, but not about the humans who are representing them. The humans, they are just as fallible as I am or you are. We are all human. The Bible says what? For all have sinned and fall short of the glory of God. None is righteous. And once you remember that, it keeps you grounded.
Yeah. And going back to the law, you are passionate about courtroom etiquette.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
Why?
I've done some webinars on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's important because courtroom demands a certain level of decorum.
Why?
You need to be decorous when you're in the courtroom as a lawyer. You do not use every kind of language. You comport yourself. You are coming to make prayers to the law lords. That's what they call us, law lords. We are sitting there, we are law lords. Well, it's a privilege to sit in judgment over your peers as a human being, and every judge knows this. So you must comport yourself. There's a dignity that comes with the profession. And when you have that dignity and you're speaking, the judge listens to you and everything flows very nicely. And that's why we do these webinars on courtroom etiquette for new lawyers. We transition them from the mental state as law students into fresh members of the bar. It's a good thing. Yeah.
And lastly, there are calls for judges to do away with the robe. What's your opinion?
Oh, the robe we wear. Like the red
wigs,
one
the
over there in the
wigs.
picture. The wig, my red one there, and the white. Apart from the fact that it's very beautiful, the red is very beautiful, even the black and white. But I think that even if we're going to do away with the robes, we could do something that is more Ghanaian.
Wow.
That's an option, because every institution has a uniform. Soldiers are wearing their camo and etc. Police are wearing, nurses and doctors are wearing their. Why do you people want us to get rid of our uniform? This is our uniform, right? So I think what we can do is to personalize it to our Ghanaian taste, Ghanaian culture. Maybe that way you guys will allow us to wear our gowns and wigs. But apart from that, I do not believe that we should just get rid of it completely. It's a uniform. It's a uniform. We can Ghanaianize it. Let's Ghanaianize it. That's a suggestion, right? Yeah, why not?
Wow. If there's a law student watching and maybe having challenges with academics, what inspiring words can you share with them in your concluding statements?
I would say that the challenges you're facing as a law student are not new. They are not new. Even when you become a lawyer or a judge, you will still be facing even greater challenges. So whatever challenge you're facing as a law student, put your shoulder to the wheel. Gird your loins. Look for the solution. Speak to people ahead of you. Go and get the resources you need to learn. Every challenge has its solution. Tailor a solution to your peculiar challenge, but don't give up. Giving up is not an option. You know, I keep writing that. Giving up is not an option. You must continue, and you must get to the finish line.
Wow.
No matter what happens, eventually you'll be called to the bar. You will become a lawyer, and then when you're a lawyer, new challenges will come. Life constantly has challenges. When you get married, new challenge. When you give birth, new challenge. When the children are going to daycare, new challenge. University, new challenge. There's a challenge. It's called life. It's called life. Life is a challenge. So let's make peace with that fact, such that as law students, making peace with the fact that studying the law has its own challenges. We prepare ourselves to face the challenges, resolve them, move on to the next step, one day at a time. Believe in yourself and know that you also make it. And you will make it even better and bigger than those ahead of you. The beautiful ones are not yet born.
Wow. Thank you so much, and ladyship,
Thank you.
for this time.
Thank
You
you.
for always challenging us, inspiring us. And personally, sitting next to you and doing this interview is by virtue of the advice you gave me. So hopefully, I build confidence and I work on it.
Of course.
So thank you so much.
Thank you
again.
too for having me.
Most
It's
grateful.
been a pleasure.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And so we had an interesting conversation with her ladyship, Sedinam Kwadam, Mrs., a justice of the High Court of Ghana, and trust that you have learned one or two lessons that would equip you in the future of your practice as a lawyer. Thank you so much.